Or E, none of the above. There is an old style of interviewing random people known as the man on the street interview, where someone with a microphone stops random people on the street to ask a question that may reveal the thoughts and opinions of the average citizen. I've seen a few of these interviews recently where person after person was unable to answer the simplest of questions. Some of the people filming and conducting these interviews are American, and some are from foreign countries here in America to ask the questions of Americans. And both seem to be doing this to show a dumbing down of Americans, a lowering of general intelligence levels, especially among the younger generation of Americans. The ones I find particularly disturbing are those episodes done on college university campuses, interviewing random students who are enrolled there in an institution of higher learning. The simplest of questions are asked, such as, can you name 3 countries outside of the United States? Most students paused and usually answered by naming continents, not countries, if they answered at all, by saying Europe, Asia, Africa. And the fact that they had to pause at all is a telling feature. I admit that I could not tell you what all of the 190 plus countries in this world are. But surely they must have been taught about countries of the world in elementary school, weren't they? At least enough to name 3 countries? And even if you only watch or read the news, you hear the names of countries where a war is going on, or where a flood or hurricane has happened, or the countries in the Olympic Games. You can't name Russia or China, Israel or Italy, England or France, Canada or Mexico. And then the questions moved on to math. What is 3 times 3 times 3? And almost every student paused, then answered 9. Almost every one of these college and university students answered 9, with some not even answering by saying, math is not my thing, or my major is psychology. A few guessed with 21, 24, 26, 28. Very few actually answered with 27. Next question. What is a quarter of an hour? Almost all of the students answered 25 minutes. 25. The questioner followed up with, how did you arrive at that answer? And the student answered, you divide the hour by 4. What is 77 plus 33? And most students answered 100, not 110. My theory with the lack of accuracy with the simplest of math questions has to do with the use of the calculator. You no longer have to think it through. You simply have to push buttons. You press the 3, the X, the 3, the X, the 3, and 27 shows on the display. There's the answer. No thought process involved whatsoever. I started witnessing this back in the 1980s when I was a bank teller, and one day a customer was depositing a check for $475 and wanted $50 back in cash. She wrote down $475 on the deposit slip and $50 beneath that, paused, turned the deposit slip towards me and said, "Can you do this? I left my calculator at the office." She couldn't subtract the 5 from the 7 and come up with 425 without a calculator. And it makes me think back to elementary school when I was a kid, when we memorized multiplication tables and did math problems in our heads. And on math tests, we had to show our work along with the answer. If you had the correct answer but didn't show how you got it, points were taken off from your final score, even if you had all of the answers correct. But it also brings up a moment in elementary school phys ed class when our gym teacher, Mr. Grant, standing in front of the class and flexing his index finger out and back, in and out, back and forth, and saying to us, "This is all people are using now, their index finger to push buttons, not their arms, not their legs, not their brains, just this, their index finger, in and out, push and release." Then the questioning moved on to money, and very few of the college students knew how many dimes were in a dollar. Some guessed 50, some 80, one even guessed 100. The same was true with knowing whose face was on what bill or coin, and I think this is due to the lack of handling cash now. With cards and paying with an app on the phone, there is no cash handling. There is no change given. There is only a total figure, and you pay that with a card or an app. So there is no need to know what change you should receive back from your $20 bill with Mark Twain on the front. Just checking. Just checking to see if you're paying attention or if you're even still awake. But what about not being able to name 3 countries? Or the university students who couldn't answer, how many states do we have? How many weeks are in a year? How many years are in a decade? What shape is a stop sign? How many days are in a leap year? My theory here has to do with the multiple choice test, where once again, there is no thought process involved. One of those 5 answers in front of you is the correct one. A, B, C, D, or E. The correct answer is there, and if you don't know the answer yourself, pick the most likely choice, or eliminate the least likely choices. You may not know the answer, and even without thinking about it, you have a 1 in 5 chance of answering correctly. But it was by guessing. It was by chance, not because you had any knowledge. Do we want to live in a world where decisions are made by guessing, by multiple choice and chance? I'm sorry, maybe I should phrase that question differently. Do you want to live in a world where decisions are made by A, guessing, B, kicking the can down the road, C, critical thinking and deliberation, D, I left my calculator at the office, or E, none of the above?